Good evening and welcome to this edition of Behind the Badge. I will be your host for tonight. My name is Officer Blanca Aguila and I am currently assigned to the Community Policing Unit. Tonight we have two very special guests with us and I will be introducing them to you now. Our first guest is Officer Joe Allen. And Joe, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Blanca, my name is Joe Allen. I'm a police officer here in the city of Glendale. I'm currently assigned to the community policing and a community lead officer out of the Montrose substation. I've been on the police department here for 20 years now. I worked patrol for a number of years and then was assigned to narcotics for 10 years, working a variety of assignments within there. And I'm now back to patrol for about the last 2.5 years and recently assigned to the community policing into the Montrose, La Crescenta, Upper Glendale area.
Excellent. Our second guest tonight is Officer Kelly Annis, and he will go ahead and introduce himself to you.
Hi, Officer Kelly Annis. I'm also a Community Lead Officer in the Community Policing Unit. I'm assigned to the West Area Command now, which is west of Brand, north of the 134 freeway. This is my second stint in the Community Policing Unit. The first time I was involved from 95 through 1999, assigned to the southeast area of Glendale, where I assisted in the redevelopment of Adams Square. And I am currently basically working my last year now with the West Command area and getting to know the residents and working together to make the better quality of life in that area.
Thank you, Kelly. Well, I'd just like to remind everyone that this is a live call-in show. So if at any time you have questions, you have any comments, something maybe that you've been wondering for a few months now or a few weeks, this would be an excellent time for you to call in and we can go ahead and answer those questions. Just as a reminder to our viewers, the number here is 818-548-3344. And we have an excellent topic tonight. As some of you may be aware, we've had the Glendale News Press has made mention of the recent town hall meeting that was held in Joe's area, the North Command. And it was very interesting to see the acceptance of this topic that we'll be discussing tonight, which is drugs and our kids. We'd like to go further into this topic, and for those of you that may have attended that meeting or for those of you that didn't attend that meeting and you'd like to know a little bit more about that, that's why we're here tonight. So we urge you to go ahead and make a phone call, and we'll be reviewing some footage that we took during that town hall meeting. And if you missed it, you will definitely be able to get plenty of information that was discussed during that town hall meeting. Now, I understand that some of you may have tuned in with us a few weeks ago. The topic then was town hall meetings. And we just like to really emphasize the importance about you and your community and about you being involved with your community. Now, we have two guests here, and along with myself, we make part of the Community Policing Unit. So I would like to open up the discussion to them and, briefly state in your own words, and we'll start with you, Joe. What do you believe is the importance of having a town hall meeting in these specific areas or these specific commands?
Well, I believe these town hall meetings really describe, or in essence, what their name is, town hall meetings. And it's where everybody can come together and we discuss really what goes on in that geographical area. We have one in the north area, the south, east, and west, but it really allows the problems of that particular community to have a voice with the police department and hear options and hear solutions and hear some debate about how we can best go along solving those problems. And it's also an excellent opportunity to get out a little bit more information to the community, let them understand what we are doing to try to address a certain problem, and oftentimes us becoming more enlightened of a problem that's going on out there that we really were unaware of. So it's a good exchange of information at these town hall meetings. It covers a variety of topics. These topics aren't the same every town hall meeting. They're to be an educational, an updating, and an awareness that is presented at these town hall meetings between both officers and the citizens of those areas.
Definitely. Kelly, what would you say to those viewers that maybe have never been involved in a town hall meeting or perhaps after viewing this show, they're interested in having a town hall meeting in their area, what would you say to those viewers?
Well, first of all, they need to pay attention to the news press, the local broadcasts of information, this channel, for instance, as there may be ticker tape information as far as future dates that are coming up. But they can also call us at the Community Policing Unit, and we can advise them of when dates, because there are planned events in the near future in all areas of the city. And they can ask us those questions. That phone number for our unit is area code 818-548-4015. And if I may just add, the people want to know that they're safe and secure. They want information, and those kind of questions, not having the information gives them anxiety. But by giving them and being willing to participate in a meeting such as that, they can bring those questions to us, and we will listen to them at the town hall meetings. We will document them, and then we try to get the answers even at that time. Not all the times do we have all the answers. So we will make sure that we get that answer back to them. But we do put out information there that can give them a sense of well-being, that through partnership with the police department, that they can be safer on a day-to-day basis and have the information to also protect their children.
Thank you, Kelly. For those viewers that were not able to attend the current or the recent North Area Command Town Hall meeting, and just to specify and be clear, the North Area Command is composed of everything north of Glendale Community College. That would be the best way that we can describe it. Now, we've had Officer Joe Allen that is here on the show, and he was present at that town hall meeting. And Joe, I'd like to know, what was your experience from that town hall meeting?
Well, I found it to be a great exchange between, like I said, the citizens that live up there in that community and the officers. We had both the chief of police, Chief DePompa, there at the location. He was speaking. We had Sergeant Tom Lorenz, who's a national expert in the area of narcotics, that was speaking. And then I did a brief presentation as well. So we tried to cover a lot of facets about narcotics and drugs that are being used within communities, and let our parents and people have a little bit more information. But we got a lot of exchange between not only homeowners and citizens. We had it between the school district who's there and always wanting to try to make it a better environment. We had people from the hospital that were there. We had people from a variety of different behavioral programs that are there trying to offer their expertise and give an exchange of information. But it was well attended. We had approximately 150 people there, and had a real good eye-opening exchange between enlightening information and current activities going on in the area. So it was surprising and great to see such a good turnout for people that are interested in the well-being of everybody in the community.
And with all that being said, Joe, what has been your recent experience with the drug trends taking place in the North Command area?
Well, in the North Command, it really is following trends that are going throughout the nation. We have an increased access to pharmaceutical supplies and medication that our young teens are being more and more accessible to. Excuse me. We've also seen a growing trend over the last 5 to 6 years of really the use of opiates and heroin specifically. We're finding more and more instances where this is being abused and by teens, ages anywhere from 14 to 24. And that's been a real alarming trend. We've had a lot of education going on in the Northern Area Command in the last several years, which has maybe even allowed it to become more to light to the community, because we are more not so much educated regarding it, but we are emphasizing it up there. We are trying to make people aware. So when you become aware, you start observing more things. So there's a diligent effort to go on up there to really decrease this and really have a good effect. We've diminished the use, or at least the arrests in the last year up there. A lot more education is going on. There have been several grassroots coalitions that have sprung up in the La Crescenta area. The Crescenta Valley Drug and Alcohol Prevention Coalition is one of those grassroots efforts that is rising up and trying to offer help. So although we find this pharmaceutical use, the heroin use, marijuana is still a big problem. Those are our primary concerns, that along with alcohol, of drugs being abused in that area.
And with all that being said, we firmly believe, not only as a unit, but also as a police department, that the key to combating any type of crime trend in your area is to truly form that relationship, that partnership, so to speak, between yourself and the police department. Wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
And we'd like to show you some very interesting footage that was actually captured at the town hall meeting that Joe attended. And this footage is with Chief DePompa, and he is specifically talking about Prop 215 and Prop 19 and what this would create if Prop 19 were to take effect. So we ask you that you please take a look at this very interesting footage.
So one of those areas that we identified here recently as a concern for us is the level of marijuana abuse in this area. And I think it's partly due to the passage of some very bad legislation called Prop 215. And I think you're pretty familiar that that is the medical marijuana, the Compassionate Use Act. Well, now we've got another piece of legislation pending on the November ballot, and it's Proposition 19. So I want to just talk to you a little bit about that, because it is, number one, very ill-conceived, and number two, very dangerous to communities such as ours. And I don't think people at times really realize what the level of impact might be. Why is it a bad idea? When we legalize another mind-altering substance out there, it is going to create a significant burden on an already overtaxed public safety system. Okay? People think, well, if it's legal, it won't create work for law enforcement. That's not true, because alcohol is a legal substance. The pharmaceutical drugs that you're going to hear about are legal substances, but they are creating significant public safety impacts and concerns for us, even though they're legal. And certainly the same will be if we look at legalizing marijuana. What Prop 19 seeks to do is legalize possession of a certain amount and also legalize cultivation of a certain amount, period, without a whole lot of other regulatory information. Now, what that does, it'll create a significant burden on us in terms of a local municipality that has to regulate, enforce, and deal with the unintended consequences of that very, very bad law. And we're overtaxed as it is. I think most of you are aware that Glendale Police Department is very leanly staffed in a comparative sense. We have our hands full just trying to keep up with the level of public safety activity we have to respond to currently. We'd be very hard pressed to deal with additional issues that legalized marijuana would bring. They say, well, you know, it's going to raise revenue. You're going to be able to tax it, and that's a false statement, because it does not allow state-level taxation. It's not going to solve the state's budget problem. It's not going to bring any taxes into the state at all. What it does allow is for local municipalities to create a tax system. But a couple of things. Number one is that the costs of regulating and enforcing and dealing with all the issues will exponentially exceed any type of revenue that any kind of local tax will bring, number one. Number two, a local tax on this, in light of the fact that it's still illegal federally, makes that tax null and void. So if people choose not to pay the tax required on local marijuana, that's appropriate because it's illegal still at the federal level. So it's going to make any taxation effort null and void. So there isn't going to be any money as a result of this proposition. The health studies continue to confirm the adverse effects and the addictive nature of marijuana. And it just drives me crazy when I hear proponents say over and over again that marijuana is not addictive. And that is absolute nonsense. Any psychoactive drug, any drug that can get into the circulatory system and get to the brain and central nervous system will create addiction. It's just that simple. It's basic physiology. It will create addiction. And the research currently is showing that more clearly. Some recent numbers I saw is that when you look at young people being treated for drug addiction across the country, 80% of that population is being treated for marijuana addiction. It's a very serious problem that people don't understand. Part of the reason is back in the 70s when a lot of the initial research was done with marijuana, the THC level, the active ingredient in marijuana, was about 4% or less. Now, with the current strains that we have, and the indoor grows and hydroponics and the sensimilla crops that we find on our local hillsides, the THC level is anywhere from 20 to 30%. So we know it could be anywhere from 5 to 10% more potent than what we are familiar with in the past. It's a very dangerous substance. There's a lot of health risks associated with marijuana use, and certainly a growing population of addicted young people to this very powerful drug. Increased use by children, and we can look back to history because in Alaska in 1978 they passed a similar law to what we're looking at with Prop 19, and that is it was legal to have a certain amount. What was interesting was the observations made with the children in that state, and how it grew from very low levels of marijuana use to at its height in 1990, 51% of the children in that state were using marijuana. So make no mistake about it, Prop 215, what we currently have, has significantly increased marijuana use amongst our children in this community. The passage of Prop 19 will only exponentially make that worse. We just simply cannot afford to go there. We simply cannot allow that to happen. Increase in cartel and gang narcotics trafficking. It's no secret the Mexican cartels control most of the marijuana grows and operations we have in California. It's organized crime. And to make it legal to cultivate only opens the door for California then to become the fertile grounds for these illegal operations, these cartels, to move in under a much greater umbrella of safety and protection from law enforcement. Increased drug driving incidents. Again, more and more we're finding that marijuana is a significant drug when we look at drug driving incidents and accidents. Some research recently done is that when they look at those admitted into emergency rooms as a result of a traffic accident, about 50% of those are testing positive for some kind of drug impairment other than alcohol. And the lion's share of those are marijuana related. So it is a real problem. The problem with Prop 19 is it allows possession, it allows use, but it has no definition at all, no presumptive level at all for driving a motor vehicle. So I guess, if this law passes, we don't know what we're going to do. I guess you can smoke dope and go out there and drive a car, and we're not quite sure if we could do anything about it. So very bad. Loss of federal grant funding and to businesses and schools, it could amount to about $9.5 billion lost in grant funding to this state. Why? is because grant funding comes to drug-free schools and drug-free workplaces, and that's a requirement for any federal funding coming into the state. And if Prop 19 passes, we will no longer be able to keep a drug-free workplace because it'll be legal to use. And if a person wants to go smoke dope on their break and come back into the workplace, they can. And the only way it can be dealt with is if there's verifiable job performance issues. And so it's going to result in a workplace that is not going to be drug-free, and subsequently it will stand to lose a lot of federal funding. And so those are some of the major issues that you're not hearing about. So the legalization of yet another mind-altering drug is truly mind-boggling. I can't imagine why we're going there, and why it's important to talk to everybody is if you look at the polls, it's pretty much a neck-and-neck race right now for those that support it versus those that oppose it. And I know as your police chief, it scares me to death because we've seen the consequences of bad laws such as Prop 215, and this will be horrendously worse.
Well, after such an interesting video, we'd like to follow up with a question. And my question is to you, Joe. After the chief speaking about marijuana being legalized, now, what is your opinion about things that can be obtained, or better yet said, anything else that is easily obtainable and that are actually legal items that our kids can get a hold of?
Yeah, there are numerous items that are currently being abused by or misused by our youth and teens, and they're easily obtainable. Any of our 99-cent stores or dollar, these convenience stores, to any of our supermarkets and drug stores. We find currently a wide abuse of dextromethorphan, and it's also DXM. It goes by several different names on the streets, but we have Skittles, we have Robo-Tripping, we have Triple C's. These are items that are commonly abused by it. DXM is a dissociative anesthetic, often found in cough syrup and such, but it has an effect on the body much like PCP or ketamine, easily obtainable by them. And then this dissociative effect that they take by taking this gives them a kind of an out-of-body experience, euphoria, and it comes as easy as obtaining those pills. Get a quercetin cough and cold. You take a certain amount of them, it gives you this effect. They also have a term for it when it's in liquid syrup, a cough syrup, any of those that follow with a dextromethorphan ingredient in it. And they'll take that and use a term of robo-tripping or drinking syrup. They'll take this substance and drink it also. And again, it gives them an effect very similar to that of being under the influence of alcohol. It's, again, easily obtainable. You don't need a large amount. Kids can purchase it and possess that and pass it amongst themselves quite easily. One of the other things we find that is widely abused are inhalants. Inhalants are short-acting drugs. They cause a temporary displacement of oxygen to the brain, giving, again, a euphoria, a giddiness, a loss of coordination. So we'll find them using this with anything from air fresheners are real popular at the moment. And we can look at those in our households and look at those that have the hydrofluorocarbons in it that are listed on the back of the bottom. On the back of the bottle, it'll say, a warning from the inhalants.org, and it'll warn parents. And those are the ones not to have in your household, perhaps, if you have teens or somebody around that may be able to abuse it. But we also have them abusing the compressed air that also has these type of active ingredients in it. So compressed air, the inhalants of room deodorizers. Again, more inhalants. Our nitrous oxide is abused readily and quite widely at a lot of parties, and again, short-term effects before after school use. Because they're so short-acting, they're able to go home without an odor of alcohol in their breath or their clothing, of smoking of any type of drugs or marijuana. So by using these short-acting drugs, whipped cream for the nitrous oxide and propellant that's inside of it, whippets, which are little nitrous oxide canisters that they use in the discharge of nitrous for cooking applications. These are widely abused. Salvia divinorum, it's a herb that is currently sold at head shops, completely legal to possess at any age currently. It's only illegal to sell it to a person under 18, but not illegal for a person under 18 to possess. It's not marijuana, it's not tobacco. So they're finding a way of getting around current laws by smoking this. And again, it has a drastic mind effect upon the kids or anybody who takes this substance. It's very, again, disassociative to be using those. All of those are completely legal. All of them easily obtainable by any of our youth, our kids, our young adults out there.
Now, Joe, you brought up a very interesting point, the fact that you as a drug expert would be able to understand or to recognize if a young person is under the influence of any types of these drugs. Well, what are some of the indicators that parents out there can be aware of to see if maybe their child is engaging in any type of activity?
Well, we were speaking about that during the break, Officer Annis and myself, and some of those indicators are really, there's no better person to understand your kid than you as a parent. You understand when they have a loss of interest in their activities that they've been doing, they have a change in friends, they no longer seem interested, they're much more distracted, they're incomplete work. You will notice these things better than us on the street. We have to look at outward signs, but you as a parent get to recognize the inward signs. When they've changed their personality, when they no longer have that interest and they now are associated with different people, those are those strongest indicators that you can have, and those are the ones you're going to find in your household before we see them on the street. By the time we see them on the street, you've had an opportunity typically to have seen that beforehand.
Now, you mentioned a term, robo-tripping. Are there any other types of terms commonly used out in the street that we should become aware of?
Well, robo-tripping being a pharmaceutical, we have this abuse of pharmaceuticals. We have an abuse of our CNS depressants, which are anything from a Xanax, the Klonopins, all the way through our antipsychotics. But with that comes a term called either cabinet parties, meaning your medicine cabinet and taking items out of there, or a farm party for pharmaceuticals. And kids, teenagers, will go into their parents' or a friend's medicine cabinet, or typically that's often what it is. You don't want your own parents to realize you're taking medication. You go to a friend's house and you go into their bathroom or into their kitchen and you take some of their medication and bring that to a party. And we'll have a group of people showing up at a party, each one bringing a variety of unknown substances and pills, and just on a whim and for the evening of fun and reckless danger, they'll go about taking these pills, unbeknownst to what they are, what type of cross-reference or effects they could have. And those are called cabinet parties or farm parties, and we're finding that happening more and more due to the easy accessibility of these pharmaceuticals.
And I'm very glad that you touched upon that term, cabinet parties. We just like to remind everyone at home that you may think that the dealer near your home is probably the person that will introduce to your child what a drug is, or what marijuana is, or what Officer Joe here spoke about, pharmaceuticals, but it's actually in your own home. And Sergeant Lorenz spoke about this at the town hall meeting that we were previously mentioning, and he specifies what cabinet parties are and the effect and the dangers of pharmaceuticals. So let's go ahead and take a look at that footage.
Okay, I want to talk to you about what's in your medicine cabinet, because every single one of us fear that our community can suffer and the quality of life go down because there might be a drug dealer in our neighborhood, there may be a drug dealer on our street corner or in our schools. Frankly, the biggest problem in the United States today is not the drug dealer at school or on the street. It is that medicine cabinet that you have in your home. The Office of National Drug Control Policy out of the White House just released a report. The new scourge in society today is not methamphetamine, it is not cocaine, it is not heroin, it is not marijuana. It is your opiates, your painkillers that are prescribed by doctors and you possess today at home in your medicine cabinet. I have provided all of you today that came in a pill sheet. And that pill sheet right there that we'll take a look at as we go through this program here identifies just about every single painkiller that is prescribed on a regular basis by our doctors, not only to you, but to your children. especially those that are in athletics. What you have to understand is that that drug right there in your medicine cabinet that's not used, because many of you, we share something in common. We all have it in our medicine cabinet. I have it in my medicine cabinet. For the adults here, how many of us truly believed when we were teenagers that we knew where to find drugs, who sold drugs, what types of drugs were available, right? We thought we knew. But how many of you today actually know what kids do today? Do you really know? How many of you have gone to your liquor cabinet, or maybe when you were teenagers, younger like I was, that went to the liquor cabinet, and the parents, what do? We kind of mark the bottle so that when we go out and come back that, you know, the same amounts there. And what do the kids do? Pour water into the vodka bottle and stuff like that, right? How many people did that? Or do it? How many people mark bottles? Yeah, there's some people out there that mark their bottles. But how many of you go in and count how many Vicodin pills you have in your medicine cabinet? How many people have gone in there and looked at your medicine cabinet to see how many bottles of Vicodin, hydrocodone, Percocet, Percodan, OxyContin, all your Propoxys, all that stuff in your medicine cabinet? All that stuff that's right there that I'm giving you. The reason why I'm giving you this is because I want you to go home and clean out your medicine cabinet if you're not using it, because you don't need it. Because you know what? It may not be my kid that's using drug. Okay, I've got 5 girls in school. I got 5, 3 in high school, 1 graduated, she's going to college now. And I've got a stepson, so I got 6 kids. I'll be the first one to say, not my kid. No, I don't have to worry about the medicine cabinet, not my kid. But how many of you have sons, daughters, grandchildren, nieces and nephews, and they come over for a barbecue, they come over to do homework, they come over to go swimming, and they go and use your bathroom or they go into your kitchen cabinet where you keep your medicine? You are the drug dealer, the supplier. It goes even beyond that. A lot of people in real estate, sometimes people want to go look at houses and they want to use people's bathrooms while they're in the house. It's because they're going to go through your medicine cabinet to steal your pills. Life in the fast lane for our kids today. This is overall. This is from the California Disease Control, the Center for Disease Control, sorry. Drugs today, that's what's available, is taking a greater toll on human lives today in traffic accidents in 16 states. It's a trend change. Used to be traffic accidents that were the #1 cause of accidental deaths. In those accidental deaths, if you take a look at that, in those accidental deaths, that could be a passenger or that could be a pedestrian. It's not necessarily a person that's behind the wheel of a car that's driving who could be intoxicated. Think about that for a second. 16 states, and it's growing even more. This was a report from 2.5 years ago, so it's probably more states by now. Think about it. Accidental death by overdose is now become the #1 cause. #1. In 16 states, probably greater. The only person that dies as a result of an overdose is the person that uses drugs. There's no collateral person. You see what I'm saying? Drug overdoses now top the list of injury-related deaths. According to CDC data, the death rate from drug use doubled from the late 1990s to 2006. Everyone probably can sit here and say, at least I saw it on TV. If not on TV, I know somebody. Or even in my own family, I can speak my brother, had a problem with drugs and is no longer with us. The use of prescription opiates like OxyContin and Vicodin accounted for much of the increase in fatalities. Methadone-related deaths also climbed 7-fold. I don't have time to talk about all kinds of drugs, but there's one other thing that I want to talk to you that's in your medicine cabinet that's over the counter, and that's your Robitussin. How many people have heard of robotripping? A few about the robotripping. Dextromethorphan or quercetin pills, your triple C's. You know, it's just cough medicine. It's in your medicine cabinet. Happened to me. I got a pool, a bunch of kids come over the summer, afternoon, I come home, they all leave. In the trash can, I find a bottle of Robitussin, completely empty, in my trash can in the guest bathroom. They went into the medicine cabinet and they drank it. But these are things that you might even find in their backpacks. You're not supposed to take it on school campuses, but it's just cough medicine. It's just cough medicine. Here, what does it do? Let me show you what it does to...
These are just a few examples of what we found on YouTube. And don't forget, these are teenage teenagers not high on marijuana or other illicit drugs, but rather they say they are high on cough medicine. Some call it robo-tripping when they use Robitussin. The drug that gets them high is DXM, a narcotic that's in Robitussin, Chlorcidin, NyQuil, and other cold medicines. Abusing TXM can cause hallucinating similar to PCP, irregular heartbeat, blackouts, and even death. And if you think your child would never do this, experts say, think again.
So it is in every neighborhood, it is in every socioeconomic class, and yes, it's in your neighborhood.
Brenda Stern works for an adolescent substance abuse program in Palo Alto. She says many teenagers are using cold medicines to get high because it's so accessible, and it doesn't seem as dangerous to them as illegal drugs.
They have no fear of using NyQuil, Dayquil, or taking a handful of cold tablets. You know, they tell you that 32 pills will kill you, but 16 will get you really high.
Trouble is, she says, 16 can kill you too, and kids just don't take it seriously. Listen to this again. His friends laugh while he complains that he feels like he's going to die. We talked to one girl who says she started getting high on cough medicine when she was 15 years old. She didn't want us to show her face, but she did want to tell her story to help other kids.
And as soon as you get into drugs, it takes your whole life.
She says one time a friend of hers almost died after taking 18 Chlorcidin pills.
And all of a sudden, I was videotaping the room, and I see her like rocking back and forth, and her eyes all of a sudden roll to the back of her head, and she just falls over. And it was so scary. I had no idea what to do. We were all freaking out. Half of them were high, so I didn't know what to say. And I called 911, and basically it was her house, so we just kind of left her there.
They just left her there. I tell kids all the time, if there's any students, I saw a couple here, I tell you, you know what, it's when you talk about gateway drugs, as the chief did, like alcohol and marijuana, Joe's got some stuff and I've got some stuff to show you. It's the people that you tend to associate with. If you associate with people that everyone's smoking marijuana, everybody's drinking, then you're associating with people that are going to tend to experiment with stronger drugs, use stronger drugs, experiment and do things. The other thing, too, if you think that all of a sudden if you get sick from using drugs and your friends are going to bail you out, think again. We in the police department get these calls all the time with kids down, unconscious in a park, their friends take off, they're home alone. Perfect example right there where what? What happened? They dial 911, but in that time frame for the response of your fire department paramedics to show up, there's no one there making sure that if she throws up, she doesn't suffocate or anything like that. It's the friends that your kids, my kids, tend to associate with. Okay, I will agree with you. Not my kids. But the problem is our kids associate themselves with other kids that may tend to get them in trouble and tend to raid your medicine cabinet, even for just that simple cough medicine that I can go to any store, even the 7-Eleven, and buy it and put it in my backpack and drink it. Now, the reason why I'm emphasizing painkillers, your opioids, is because this is the dirty H word, is what I'm getting to. Heroin. Your opioids, your painkillers that are in your medicine cabinet, the ones that are on that sheet that I've given to you, it might as well be heroin. It's the same thing. It's in the same family. It's a derivative, and it starts with the poppy. That's where it comes from. There's the poppy. You get the alkaloid from it. The derivative of gives you your prescription medication, i.e. in this case sulfate, which I'm showing. The difference between an alkaloid and a derivative would be compared to opium to wheat, meaning if I had my alkaloid of a wheat grain, I get my wheat, then I can get my white flour to make my bread. But where does it start? It starts with the wheat. As I'm trying to explain to you, that Vicodin, that hydrocodone, the Percocet, the Percodan, all that stuff that's on that sheet that you have in your medicine cabinet starts with the poppy plant. It goes back for thousands of years, as far back as 7,000 BC. That's how long this has been around for. It's important to note that almost all opiates available today, both legally and illicitly, share common lineage between the opium poppy. I will back up what the chief said. Just because something is legal doesn't mean it's better for society today. 400% increase in prescription medication is now worse than your illicits. And it's a legalized drug because it can be prescribed by a doctor. A lot of famous people here. One of the things, I'm getting back to the dirty H word again, because when you look at Brett Favre in '92, he had a pain medication problem. He was addicted to pain meds. You look at Corey Haim over here, who recently died due to pain medication overdose. You got Michael Jackson, you've got Ledger, Marilyn Monroe, Tiger Woods, Lindsay Lohan. We've heard enough about all these people. But they always talk about they got to go into treatment because they have an addiction to pain medication. It doesn't sound as bad as really saying, hey, I have an addiction to heroin. Okay? An opiate. That's what it is. That's what it is. My goal today was to come in here and explain to you that when someone says, oh, it was only a pill, it was only a Vicodin pill, it was only hydrocodone, it was only a Percocet pill, oh, he just had 2 or 3 Percocet pills in his backpack at school. That might as well be 3 bags of heroin that he had in his backpack on campus. It's the same thing. All of these. Brett Favre today will tell you, as far as his career is going, I didn't think he'd still be playing today, but he said once he got off that addiction, he would never take an opiate ever again in his life. It was the worst thing he ever did to himself. He will play through the pain rather than take pain medication. You have in your medicine cabinet, you just used in a bathroom at a Burger King. Listen to what he says and when he starts using drugs.
Robert, how long have you been using? How long have you been using? How old are you now?
I'm 24.
So 12 years? You said you started taking pills at 12 years old?
I started dipping around with other drugs before that, like smoking pot, drinking alcohol, but like
12 years old.
Drug use.
Now look where he's at.
14, around there.
Robert, when was the last time you used today?
How long have you been doing?
Let's start with this morning. What was the first thing you had this morning?
Well,
Was there pills or heroin this morning?
pills.
And what
Because
kind
I was in the
of,
hospital
what type
still.
Okay, what type of pills did you use this morning?
Oxycontin.
How'd you use it?
I injected it.
What'd you use next?
Oxycontin. So you can look at him, he's just not enough, just like the girl is. Okay, I think I've made my point. It's the exact same thing. I hope I provided you a little bit of information that you can take home with you, that you can use, and you have a better understanding that, you know what, the people I showed you in this video here, and I think Joe's going to, they're not gangbangers that are using drugs. They're not. There are kids that are using drugs. And if you want to believe, as a father of 6 that got kids in high school, believe you me, if you think that I know everything they know, forget it. I decided about 4 years ago, along with Joe, when we were teaching, all of a sudden our kids are in high school and we're saying, you know what? It's great chasing the Colombian. It's great chasing the Mexican national. It's fun going after the Israelis doing the ecstasy. You know, meth labs and getting kilos and season. That's fun. But in reality, as we got older, we have to be parents too. And unless we educate ourselves and really understand what we knew when we were teenagers, what they know today as teenagers, we will have a better community. May not be my kid, but I'm going to prevent some other kid having an impact on my kid. Thank you.
After viewing such a great video full of so much information, I'm sure that our viewers have questions, and we urge you to call 818-548-3344. We'll be waiting for your call so we can answer any questions that you may have related to drug usage or question that is just in the back of your head and you don't know where to go, we are here for you. We can answer that question right away. And I'd like to also ask Officer Joe Allen, where would a parent go if they were to find some type of pharmaceutical pill in the backpack or in the pant pocket of one of their children? Where could they go to find out what this pill is?
Oh, you can look it up online. One of the best places to look or to call is poison control. The number is 1-800-222-1222. And that's a tool I've utilized throughout my career, even while working undercover or working in the field of narcotics. Trying to identify a certain pill, whether or not it's just an OTC, which is over-the-counter. We've heard that term several times, either with Tom or throughout the broadcast. OTC is over-the-counter. We also have our pharmaceuticals or our prescription medications. So just finding those out and being able to call poison control, they'll break it down for you. They'll tell you if it's prescribed, if it's a controlled substance that needs to be prescribed, or whether or not it's over-the-counter, and what schedule it falls in, or whether or not it's a narcotic analgesic, whether or not it's a CNS depressant. They'll help you figure that pill out.
So each pill is marked with certain identifiers, is that correct?
That's correct. And when we look at these pills, they have either a score mark on it, they're imprinted with numbers or letters on it that help you identify it. They're able to identify that just by giving them those markings, the shape of the pill. Is it a tablet? Is it a pill? Is it a capsule? Being able to describe the color of it, and that 1-800 to the poison control, they'll be able to help you identify it along with some other online resources.
Now, what if we have someone that's wondering how they can safely dispose of any leftover pharmaceuticals? Is there somewhere where they can go, or who do they contact?
They can, and here in the city of Glendale and in the area of La Crescenta, there are 2 locations. In the area of La Crescenta, there are 3 locked containers right outside the front doors of the Sheriff's Department that are collected daily, that allows a person to come and drop off any unused, any expired medication, any medication that's found. You can also drop off any type of illicit drugs that you come across, or a person wanting to turn that corner, turn a new leaf and get rid of. We don't want these things disposed of in our sewer, into our wastewater. We don't want it to be flushed down and into our sewer system. We know that all eventually gets back into the water table and is bad for the environment. So take these back and have them properly disposed of. The Sheriff's Department is one up on Briggs in the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, and there's one down in Kelly area also, and that location is down at the
the Environmental Health Management building at 780 Flower.
So that's another location, and it's their National Day coming up pretty soon. And I believe that's September 25th here. It's going to be a national day to turn in types of medication and prescription drugs that are no longer either used or, like I said, unneeded or expired, to get rid of those and safely dispose of those.
Because the word is now, right, not to flush that down the toilet.
Absolutely.
Right. And just remember, there will be no questions asked. Just go ahead and dispose of the pharmaceutical safely. Now, Kelly, briefly, what do you believe are the benefits of us exposing these drug trends to our community?
Well, I was sitting here as I'm watching the video, and I thought, oh my gosh, even though I'm an officer and I have an expertise in a different area, Joe has a phenomenal expertise in drugs. And as he's rattling off all of those terms, I'm thinking and empathizing with you at home, thinking, oh my gosh, how am I going to ever keep up with all this stuff? The reality is you only have 18 years to raise your child into a thinking, self-sufficient adult capable of making good choices. Those choices are either bad or they're going to be good, and you can't be there. Joe talked about going to the 99-cent store. You can't follow your 16-year-old kid to the 99-cent store and make those choices for them. Your goal as parents is to train them. And I think with the information that we've learned today, that there should be a sense of urgency that I think there's a master's degree practically required. These kids are important, because if you don't do the job as best you can, they're going to be problematic for society. And bottom line, everybody's looking for a way to feel good. Make a list of the 10 good ways to feel good, and do goal planning with your children, so that if they want to be an Olympic swimmer, and then somebody comes to them for drugs, they're not going to want to be doing that. But if you're not doing that kind of planning and that interaction with their children, they're going to go with trends and fads and that kind of stuff, and then they're going to get lost.
Okay. Joe, anything else you'd like to add?
We talk about community impact with drugs and narcotics. I can tell you over my 20-year career that, and working in narcotics, 90% of all crime has some type of associated factor of drugs or narcotics. Whether or not we're talking about robberies, or they're talking about burglaries to residential or vehicular burglaries, if we're talking about assaults, domestic violence, committing fraud, doing prescription theft from a doctor's office, and then doing these, entering a store or a pharmacy to do these type of crimes, 90% of all other crime has some type of tie-in with drugs or narcotics. We get that under control, get people help they need, recognize the signs, and try to intercept it early. We can minimize the rest of the impact it has upon our community on all that other additional crime.
Thank you both very much for being on this episode of Behind the Badge, and to our viewers, we just thank you so much for giving us your time and allowing us into your homes. We'd like to remind you to allow this show to be a topic of discussion within your homes, and don't be afraid to be open and candid with your children, because they already know what's going on. Now it's time for you to confront the situation at home. So once again, thank you so much for joining us with this episode of Behind the Badge.